Hello, this is Kenny Williamson, and welcome back to another episode of McKill's Deck Chronicles. In today's episode, we're going to go over a few more conspiracy theories. I did one here. The last podcast that I did was 39 conspiracy theories. Today, I think we're going to do roughly that many, maybe 33 conspiracy theories. I've got lots and lots of conspiracy theories. I have talked lots and lots about conspiracy theories. However, I'm going to try to hone these down to I've got a list that I've created. And instead of doing an hour-long podcast about each one, I decided to just talk briefly about a whole bunch in a row. And then if somebody says, hey, man, I want to know more about that one, then, send me a message, email me, say something in the comments, and then we can do a more in-depth if that's what you want to do. Let's see here. Now, if you're watching this on video, a lot of people do. A lot of people do this on audio only. I have a new little sign back here that says On Air, McKill's Deck Chronicles. I got that for Christmas. So it's a red glowing light. You can see that there. It looks like it's putting out quite a bit of light. I might have to turn it down. Anyhow, let's see here. What do we have? Okay. Let's just start with number one here. So our first one we're going to talk about has to do with the space and the moon, NASA. So our first one, now these are conspiracy theories. And I'm going to explain that. It goes both ways as far as an actual conspiracy theory that I believe versus, we'll get to it. So number one, moon landings were staged. Yes, that is a popular conspiracy theory that you hear. The belief by mainstream is that they were not staged and that we really went to the moon. I believe that they were staged. Everything you see about the moon is 100% fake, CGI, phony pictures, whatever. Believe that it was filmed on a studio set someplace, probably in Hollywood, probably on one of these air bases somewhere. And yes, so my belief is that it's fake. And of course, I believe that because I don't believe you can get to the moon. But that's a whole nother one. But for your regular normies out there, they're like, oh, we went to the moon because TV said so. And so moon landings were staged. That's a conspiracy theory. That's fake. Well, no, we didn't go to the moon. That's fake. So that's number one. Number two, moon bases already exist. Now, if you watch TV, the television, one of the big popular shows is Ancient Aliens. And on that show, they're always talking about, they show pictures of the moon with these little things and they'll highlight it and they'll say, see that? That looks like a pipe. That looks like a bridge. That looks like a space station. And then they go on to say, whenever the astronauts were on the moon, they saw things they can't talk about. But they believe that there's other entities on the moon, and i.e. moon bases. And these moon bases are supposedly on the backside of the moon. That way, we can't see them, right? So they're hidden. Well, I don't believe there is a backside to the moon. The moon is just as you see it. It's a circle, but it's not a sphere. It doesn't spin. It spins like a clock, but it never spins like a sphere. I don't believe it is a sphere. It's some kind of something in the firmament, possibly made of plasma. I can't explain it exactly, but it's a light. It's its own light, and you can't get to it. You can't land on it. You can't do anything with it. So there are no bases on it. Mainstream tries to get you to think, Oh, there's bases on the moon. Well, the reason they repeat that is because they want you to believe we've been to the moon. They want you to believe in space and aliens. So, of course, there's going to be bases on the moon, right? Right. Okay. Number 3, secret manned missions beyond the moon. That's another thing that you'll see on these ancient alien sites or alien sites in general. They'll say, we've already had top-level military astronauts on Mars or other planets, where mainstream says we haven't got there yet, or we've just got a probe there. We've secretly actually sent people out there. Well, that's your normie type conspiracy theory, because, you're going to have your people that believe in outer space. They believe in NASA. They believe everything they see on TV. Well, NASA says we haven't got a manned mission out there, but they still believe there's a manned mission out there. So I would suffice to say that there are no manned missions beyond the firmament, let alone beyond the moon. I don't believe that anybody has got above a couple of 100,000 feet. Now, NASA refers to that as low Earth orbit. So they're not getting up anywhere. There is no vacuum. And, of course, they claim it's weightless. Oh, it's weightless up here. Well, I don't believe that either. And it's no such thing as gravity. It's density and buoyancy. Okay, that's what's pulling everything. You're on a flat surface, so that's another one. So, secret manned missions beyond the moon? I don't think so. Okay, next one. Now, this is my kind of conspiracy. Number 4, NASA uses CGI for most space footage. Okay, your normies think that is a conspiracy theory, and that's not true. In actuality, that is true. All space footage, not most, all space footage is fake. It's CGI. Why? Because there is no space as NASA describes it. Okay, I go with the biblical cosmology version, where above the firmament is water, called the Great Deep. So I'm going to go with what the Bible says on it. So there is no space. So yes, everything they do is fake. It's CGI. I mean, you watch the guys, they're hanging from wires. You can see it. You can see the CGI backgrounds. And it's like, well, if you were really in a weightless environment, like you claim, up in outer space, why do you have to keep faking it? Why do you have to have wires? Why do you have to have CGI? You see? It's like me sitting right here in this office. Oh, Kenny, you're not really there. Okay, well, those are real books. This is a real office. Hey, that's not a green screen behind me with fake books. They're real books. I mean, we can take one off the shelf right now. I mean, everything here is real. I can move it around. Of course, they can too, but they've got CGI. So, it's just one of those different things there. All right, let's see. Let's go to number 5. The International Space Station is not what it's claimed to be. Duh. It's a hoax as well. There's no such thing. All the things you see whenever this thing is filmed and you see these astronauts on it, that is a set somewhere. Probably in Texas. Maybe not. I don't know where it's at. I know they have an exact replica or a model, let's say. It's not a replica, because a replica would insinuate that there is one that exists, and this is a replica. There is an actual International Space Station model, full size, 1-to-1 scale, in Texas in a giant swimming pool. And that's where they do all their supposed training. Well, whenever they're goofing off out there floating around where it makes it look like they're in a weightless environment, they're actually floating around in water. And every once in a while, when you look at the NASA live feeds, you can see the bubbles coming up. They miss a few because they have a CGI screen behind it, and a few bubbles escape every time. They're in the water filming it, pretending they're in space. So why would you have to do that if there was a real space station? And I know what you're going to say, because I heard it this other weekend. I've seen the space station with my own two eyes. Really? You saw something fly over, but how could you see the space station as far as it is away? I mean, think about it. The space station is roughly the size of a Boeing 747. A Boeing 747 at 7 miles above your head, you can barely see with the naked eye. But this thing is supposedly what, 300-400 miles above your head, and you can see it just like it's flying right over your head. Amazing, isn't it? That's because that's not what you're seeing. And then you can see it go across the horizon and just keep going and going and going and going. And it's like, well, that thing should be thousands of miles away from me, but yet I can still see it. But you can't see a jet airplane at 7 miles. And they're the same size. Something doesn't add up. So I don't know what you're seeing. It's probably some kind of a aircraft that's been modified to look different from the ground, and they're flying it around and said, oh, see, people saw it. That's a way to fool you. This is not a children's type party prank, okay? This is a high-level, sophisticated type thing designed to deceive you. So what they do is they figure out when they claim this space station is going to be flying, and they just fly an airplane over there with lights on it or whatever, and then have people say, oh, look, I saw it. It must be real. Okay, this is you have to understand, this whole thing is designed to get you away from God. It's a demonic thing, and the devil's behind it. So you better believe it's going to be sophisticated. This is not a 3-cent magic trick that you could buy at Walmart. They put a lot of thought and effort into this. That way you're fooled. That's what they want. Okay, so number 6, satellites don't exist as described. No, they don't. I had this same conversation with some people this weekend. Oh, satellites in outer space. Well, what if I told you I don't believe satellites are in outer space because there is no space? That's what I said there, and they're like, oh, that's ridiculous. Well, show me a satellite. Oh, well, I know of a person. They used to work on satellites. I got that comment on one of my deals on TikTok. My uncle or my dad or somebody works on satellites, really? Well, do you have a picture of the satellite he worked on in outer space? Can you prove it? Of course you can't. He may have worked on something. I don't know what they worked on. And they do have these things hanging from balloons. And you can Google it. They call it Project Loon. And you can actually watch the videos of these things getting set up, going up as high as they'll go. And these things, some of them mess up, and these things are big. And one of them hit a car and demolished a car. I mean, some of these things are huge. And there are probably people working on them, obviously. That doesn't mean it's put up into outer space by rocket, does it? No. Doesn't mean any of that. So satellites don't exist as described? No, because they're not in outer space. What they do have is floating around with balloons. And they do fall back down to Earth quite often. They've got pictures and videos of all that. See, nobody wants to see any of that. Just kind of about like the one that supposedly came from China, the spy balloon, that they make sure it got out over the ocean before they shot it down. Maybe it wasn't a spy balloon from China. Maybe it was one of our balloons from NASA. And it had some stuff on it, or it was doing something that they don't want anybody knowing what they're really doing. So they had to let it go, keep going, till it gets way out. And they're like, oh, we don't want that thing coming down right here in town. Somebody's going to see what it is. So they shot it down over the ocean. I mean, it's really just that simple. Yeah, they don't have anything going on, alien wise. Yeah, no. Okay. So yeah, satellites, they're a hoax. Astronauts, number 7. Astronauts train underwater because spacewalks are simulated. Duh. That all goes right back to the International Space Station. That's where they're doing their spacewalks off of, is the space station. Nobody's ever seen it being, put together. There's never been any pictures or videos of it being assembled. It just magically is there, and supposedly, allegedly. And so now we're doing spacewalks off of it. You look at some of the pictures of this hunk of junk that's supposedly floating around in the sky, and inside they've got wires and junk everywhere. I mean, it looks like a death trap. I mean, why would you have all that junk everywhere? Why would you not have it put up nicely where you could actually get through there? But hey, it's all for show. Just like they always have to do spacewalks. What are you doing spacewalks for? So you've got a ship that's in a very harsh environment, and to do a little bit of maintenance on it, you've got to go outside to do the maintenance. Well, why don't you have it built more like a submarine? It's also in a very harsh environment. All the sailors are inside of it. Everything that needs to be done is on the inside, not the outside. Why would you need to keep going outside to, twist a valve? Why isn't that valve on the inside? You see? Whoever designed it, if it was real, is an idiot. But, you see, it was actually designed by Hollywood. So it gets, we've got to show somebody go out in a spacesuit and float around in space, like Major Tom. Oh, ground control to Major Tom. That kind of deal. It's all about getting your heart rate up, seeing something with your eyes so you'll believe it. Who cares if it's the stupidest thing on Earth? Maybe they should do that on cruise ships. Maybe they should put all the valves and electrical outside the ship on the hull. Wouldn't that make sense? That way, when it's going through the ocean and somebody needs to turn a valve, they've got to somehow get outside the ship and crawl down the ship and turn the water valve on and then somehow get back on it. Why would you put it on the outside when it could go on the inside? How about in the engine room? Now, we couldn't do anything. See, that doesn't spark curiosity. That doesn't get your imagination going. See? So we have to have something that seems dangerous so we can have a spaceman on a spacewalk to go outside with a wrench and go, eek, eek, and turn a nut a couple of times and then somehow get back. Really? Well, I personally don't believe it. So, number 8. Hidden ruins or structures on the moon. I think I mentioned that on the beginning. They claim your normies believe we went to the moon, but it's just a moon. Your normie Christians believe we went to the moon, but there's nothing on it. And then you have your normies who believe a conspiracy that there are actually structures on the moon built by aliens. Okay, well, that's not biblical. So no normal Christian should be believing it. On top of that, we can't get to the moon. We know that, or at least that's what I believe. So, yeah, here we go. So there are no ruins or anything on the moon. No hidden structures. It's plasma. Okay. Number 9, Mars images are altered or staged. Of course they are, because we can't see what's on Mars. If you do a little bit of internet research, it doesn't take much to figure out those Mars images are filmed in Canada or Greenland or Iceland, Devon Island, stuff like that. People have taken pictures of Devon Island and taken pictures of Mars, and they're the same picture. The Mars one just has a red filter on it. So it's like, They're fake, guys. They're fake. We're not really on Mars. We don't have a helicopter flying on Mars or a rover. That is all deep state propaganda to spend your tax money legally. You know, it's not like the new thing we got going on where we've got all the fake daycares all over and people can see that there's no kids there. Well, you've got your fake daycare that our government is propping up. Somebody drives over there and there's no kids. And they check on this daycare for months and months and months, and there's never any kids. But somehow this daycare is receiving millions of dollars. Well, see, that's a fraud. But you can drive up to the daycare and verify that it's a fraud. See, you can't drive up to Mars and verify the fraud, can you? You can't check on it at all. So they can send you a crappy picture and say, look, we have a helicopter on Mars that's costing $1 billion. You can never go verify that. You have to go by what they say. And you can see what kind of fraud they are into. I mean, just in Minnesota alone, they're up in the 200 billion range in daycare fraud. I mean, they can literally get away with it for years. And the thing, you can drive up to it and verify there's nobody there, but nobody ever does. Because then somebody wouldn't be getting paid. But see, you can't do that on the moon. You can't do that on Mars. So they can say anything. Anything they want. Just keep that money rolling. You see? And, of course, the other benefit to it is believe in space. Believe in aliens. There's no God. It's all aliens. You see? That's what this whole thing's about. Okay, number 10, lost Apollo mission footage. Conspiracy theory, they lost the footage. 13,000 reels of footage, and they somehow accidentally lost it all. Well, if there was any footage to begin with, they lost it because they know somebody could come in and look at it now and say, you've got to be kidding, right? This is what you claim you did? And they would be caught red-handed, so they just destroy the evidence. So lost Apollo mission footage is actually destruction of evidence so we don't get in trouble. That's what that is. Nothing more. All right, number 11, black budget space programs. Well, that's what they claim. So your normie is going to say, oh, yeah, they've got black budget. Well, there is no space, see? But if you believe there is space, then they can tell you they're doing something in space, and it's costing billions. You're never going to see it. You're never going to know it, and you can't verify it. Trust us, we're the government. Heard that one before? That's what that is. Okay, hey, don't worry. There's no daycare fraud here in Minnesota. Trust us. We're the government. Sure. What number are we on here? Number 12. Suppressed. Well, 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I had a brief interruption, but I'm back. Let's see here. Yes, number 12, suppressed propulsion technology. Now, we have conspiracy theorists that are normies that think, that we've got all this stuff from aliens and all this stuff and the government has suppressed it. Well, what I think is we do have other propulsion that probably has been suppressed, and our government has developed it. And, it's not from aliens. It's from fallen angels. It's fallen angel technology, devil technology. These guys are getting this stuff by worshiping the devil and other things. And that's not a conspiracy theory. I mean, you can go all the way back to the beginning of NASA with JPL, Jack Parsons. You can just Google it. I mean, it's out there in the open. He was one of the first NASA guys doing these rockets, and in order to get the information to build the rockets, he's worshiping devils and demons and having seances and orgies and all this kind of stuff so he can get knowledge to become a rocket builder. That's where these clowns get their information. Not all, but most. So you can Google that. So, okay, so suppressed propulsion. Supposedly, allegedly, the Germans developed some kind of propulsion system that works on the ether, which is positive, some kind of magnetism in the air. I'm not a scientist, but I talked about it briefly whenever I talked about the flux liner. And the flux liner is an American built by Lockheed Martin. Looks like a UFO, but it's not. It's built right here in the USA. And they supposedly use technology from Die Glock, or the bell, which is the German version that disappeared at the end of World War II. Okay, well, this thing disappeared is because we took it. I mean, it's just about that simple. We went over there and said, we'll be taking that, and that's what they did. And so then they take the thing apart, and they're like, hey, this is pretty cool here. I see you got a bunch of copper plates and stuff, and it's some kind of magnetism, blah, blah, blah. And lo and behold, they make their own flux liner, and they're flying this thing around in the 40s. Well, of course, they've suppressed it because the same people doing this, they're like, okay, well, this flux liner, it's been around since the 40s. It's working on some kind of anti-magnetism or something. The thing just hovers. It doesn't require hardly any fuel to operate. And it just sits there. So if we let everybody know that, well, why would you be putting hundreds of gallons of fuel in your big diesel truck if there was something that could run off the ether? But here's the thing. These same guys own all the oil companies and the pharmaceutical companies and everything. So in order for them to get all of your money, you have to keep paying them. So they're not for 1 minute going to come up with anything free. Just like what Tesla, he said, I can give everybody free power, and Edison and all the other guys are like, what? Free? We're not giving anybody anything for free. Oh no, we're going to set it up. We'll get it for free right out of the air, and we'll charge all them so we can be billionaires. Tesla didn't go along with it, and he ended up dead. Broke and dead. But see, he didn't want to charge. He wanted people to have free ether coming up. Oh no, absolutely not. Get out. So think about that. So suppressed propulsion technology, yeah, I'm sure we do have that. That's real. It's not. It's from fallen angels, or from something we've developed. Probably, possibly the Germans developed it years ago. Of course, they were all into witchcraft and worshiping devils. So did they get the information from fallen angels? Probably. They had a bunch of cults over there. They were worshiping the devil. Hey, I don't know where they got it, but it's been suppressed, and you're not going to get it in your Ford. You understand? You're going to have a gas burner or a diesel engine in your Ford pickup. That's just the way it's going to be. They don't want you to have something sitting under the hood that just drives itself, propels it with no fuel. That's not the way they're going to do it. That's all about money and control, of course. All right, let's see here. Number 13. Moving on. I keep getting brief interruptions, so that's kind of why I have to stop here and there. So, number 13, weaponized space platforms. That's another one. It's in all the space movies. You'll see a Russian weather satellite supposedly in deep outer space, and they come to find out it's got nuclear bombs all over it, something like that. No. That's the problem, see, is if you can't get to outer space, you can't have space platforms. Simple as that. Do they have something? Maybe they're flying around way up high on this side of the firmament, I'm sure. I don't know exactly what, but, they have to keep that whole space thing going constantly. That way you believe in aliens, you believe threats from outer space. I mean, even the guy that helped start NASA, Werner von Braun, he was a German. He was a Nazi. He came from Germany. Operation Paperclip is what they called it. So he was over there building stuff for Hitler. end of the war, they ship him over here and say, hey, now you're going to build stuff for us. He supposedly developed this Saturn rockets and all that along with whoever. Well, when he died, before he died, he told his secretary, and she wrote a book on it, that everything that they were doing was fake. And he said the last big thing they're going to do that's fake is they're going to claim that something is going to get us from outer space. So they're going to really talk about space and getting all this stuff in space because they've got to protect us from something in space. And he told her, and the funny thing is, it's all a lie. It's all fake. But they say it's real, so people believe it's real. So no, we don't have any weaponized space platforms or any nukes from Russia aiming down on us. It's fake. It's designed to keep you scared and controlled. Number 14, moon as an artificial object. I'm sure you've heard this one. This is another Ancient Aliens show thing. Oh, the moon. They think that the moon is placed there by aliens. It's actually a giant space station, and it's hollow, and there's aliens living inside of it, and they're watching every move we make. It's not an artificial object. It was put there by God himself. It's on the first page of Genesis, if you're a Bible believer. It's the lesser light. There's a greater light and a lesser light, the sun being the greater, the moon being the lesser. It is its own light. God created it to put off light. That's what it's for. He put it in the firmament, and there it is. It's still there. So all this other stuff is just, hey, look at me, I believe in space aliens mumbo jumbo. It's not real. It's not biblical by any stretch. Anything. All right, now this one comes up all the time from Bart Sabrell and these other, moon landing deniers. Of course, I'm obviously a moon landing denier because I don't believe you can get to the moon. These guys are moon landing deniers because they just think we didn't go. So number 15, the Van Allen radiation belts prevent real human beings from traveling in space. You'll see that all the time. The Van Allen belts, supposedly discovered by some guy by the name of Van Allen. He says there's a bunch of rings of radiation out there. He somehow discovered all this, and they're so dangerous you can't get through them. And so you'll hear modern day astronauts say, oh yeah, we've got to find ways to get through the Van Allen radiation belts because the radiation is just so dangerous. It'll kill you. It's so powerful. And then, like Bart Sabrell talking to the astronauts, he's like, well, how'd you get through the Van Allen radiation belts? Oh, I don't know. We didn't know anything about them. It's like, well, you obviously passed right through them, one out on the way back. So how come you didn't get hurt? Why are you okay? I don't know. It didn't hurt me any. It's because they don't exist, and the astronaut never went to space. He's a liar. And you can tell they're lying. And some of them have come up and basically admitted they're lying. So, Van Allen belts prevent human space travel? No, the firmament is preventing space travel because you can't get past the firmament. And then on the other side of the firmament is water. So I guess that prevents space travel. You know what the main thing is that prevents space travel? There ain't no outer space. You've got to have space to have space travel, right? I mean, that's the way I see it. If you don't have any outer space, you can't travel in outer space. But that's a biblical cosmologist. If you ask a Cartoon Network guy, he's going to say, of course there's space. Just watch the X-Files. They'll tell you. Just watch Star Trek. Anything you want to know about outer space, watch Star Wars. Oh, Chewbacca, he'll tell you. Oh, he's real, in the fake space land, but not real. Let's see here. Okay, number 16, recovered non-human craft. That is a normie space person, NASA lover thing. They believe that we have craft coming from other planets, and they've been recovered. They've crashed, like Roswell, a spaceship from outer space crashed, and we're hiding it. Well, that's a conspiracy in a conspiracy, I guess, because the real conspiracy is the fact that they want you to believe that. They want you to believe it, and they want you to think it's a conspiracy, so you will believe it more. When in actuality, it never happened to begin with. There may have been something thrown out there in the field that they recovered, but it's something that we put out there. A flux liner, something like that. And we got the technology from fallen angels. So they don't want you to know any of that. They want you to think it's aliens from outer space. That way you can think, oh, well, you see, again, there is no God, there's aliens. That's what this whole thing boils down to. 17, reverse engineered alien technology. That's one and the same. That we have captured ships and it's reverse engineered, just like the flux liner. Oh, that didn't come from the Germans. That came from aliens. Or, oh, well, it might have came from Germany, but where'd the Germans get it? They got it from aliens. No, they got it from devils. That's where they got it. This is no super duper technology here. Oh, it's good for us. I mean, we don't realize what's going on because we weren't trained on any of this stuff. But do you think that a fallen angel, this is something special to them? Or, of course it's not. These are the guys that have built all these monuments and all this stuff that's buried in the mud out here. Big, huge, fancy buildings, and they all have the same similar roofs and stuff, supposedly getting energy from the ether, Do you think that's anything to them? No. That's Mickey Mouse to them. So they're like, here's some breadcrumbs, you dumb humans. We'll set back. You worship us, and we'll tell you how to build something. That's all it is. 18, secret treaties between governments and non-human intelligence. You'll read all about that too. It's called the bases, deep underground military bases called DUMBs. Supposedly these aliens are living in the DUMBs and, calling all the shots and giving us stuff for, giving us favors if we give them our children and give them blood and all this stuff. They may have something like that down there, but it's not an alien, it's a demon. It's a fallen angel, it's a leftover giant, Nephilim, whatever you want to call them. That's what it is. It's nothing from outer space. Now, are some of these things kind of looking human, taking on human form, reptilian form, something like that, and hiding, and the government's helping them? Probably. But again, it's demonic. It's not aliens. So there you go. Oh, it's non-human intelligence, all right. From a devil. Number 19, Antarctica hidden bases. Well, we know Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of the globe. Antarctica is actually an ice wall all the way around on a flat Earth. They call that Antarctica. What's beyond the ice wall? How far does it go? I don't know. Do they have secret hidden bases there? Oh, I'm sure they do. And they don't want you going there for some reason. You can't get there. All of our governments fighting and all supposedly at war and at each other's throats, but they can all agree on that Antarctic Treaty. You try to head down there, you don't get past the 60th parallel, you get arrested. Somebody's going to pick you up. It doesn't matter what Navy it is, but there will be somebody there to get you. Now, it's hard to believe that all of our governments can participate in that, but they can't agree on anything else. The reason for that is all governments are being controlled by the same entity. It's called the devil, Lucifer, the dragon. Ever heard of him? Open up your Bible. That's who's controlling all of the governments. Not just ours. Ours is included. So all of these governments are controlled by the same entity. Do you really believe we're really doing all this fighting? Even if we are, it's for money. It's to kill people. It's not really because we're enemies. It's by design. You've got the same controller controlling all of it, like a game. okay, designed to genocide you and get your money, get you in hell, get you away from God. So that's what it boils down to. All right. Number 20, underground military space cities. They've got underground military cities, but they're not from space, they're from demons. Just that simple. It's the same as in the Dumbs. They're being led and fooled around by demonic entities. They probably believe that they're aliens, I'm sure. Or they actually know that they're demonic, but they are in it with the demonic entities to get you lost, so they're never going to admit that, so they just say alien. I mean, that's logical, what they're doing. Okay. 21, Navy encounters with unknown aerial vehicles. You know, you've got these Navy airplanes, you've got Navy ships that have supposedly filmed these things. Probably have. Again, these ships are probably deep state type, top secret government things. Your typical sailor on a Navy ship is not going to get to know about them. The captain's not going to know about it. They're going to be sailing their big boat out there, their ship, and they're going to see one of these things. They're going to send up a F-16 or F-14, whatever they have now. They're going to send it up, and it's going to fly away. And they're going to say, oh, it's an alien. Well, no, it's not, but you believe it. And so then you film it, and then so you report it, and so then the government can come out later and say, see, even our own government knows about these aliens. That way, for the people who have no discernment, they're going to sit here and believe it, hook, line, and sinker, and when a fake alien shows up, they're going to do whatever it says. Of course, it's really a demonic being, a fallen angel, but they're not going to believe that because they don't believe in anything like that. They only believe in aliens. It's just another way to get you believing there's aliens. Okay, UFOs are advanced government craft. Now that is true. So see, they throw that kind of stuff in there and say, well, see, that's a conspiracy theory. UFOs, well, no, that's not a conspiracy theory. The UFOs, that's what they are. They're advanced government craft, just like the Fluxliner, built by Skunk Works, built by Lockheed Martin, just built like the Bell. Oh, that's from you. No, it wasn't. It was built by the Germans, if it existed. Looks an awful lot like the Fluxliner and has supposedly the same technology. So probably the same thing. Big deal. Aliens? No. Devils is who taught them how to build this stuff. And our government's using it and flying it around. That's what a UFO is. It's not from outer space. Now, is it unidentified flying object? Well, yeah, sure, because you don't know what it is. But it's not from outer space, UFO. That's what, when most people say, I saw a UFO, they think aliens. UFO actually means unidentified flying object. So you could have a bird fly past your head, you know, and you're like, I don't know what kind of bird that was. Well, it's unidentified, right? Could you identify it? No. Well, it's unidentified. Was it flying? Yep. Is it an object of some kind? Well, yeah. Okay, it's UFO. Doesn't mean it's from outer space. Number 23, disclosure is staged and controlled. Of course it is. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Everybody knows the government are liars. They're liars, deceivers. Our government, excuse me, is probably one of the most corrupt out there, would be my guess. So everything they do is disclosed and controlled and lies and false flags. I would be willing to bet that most of the stuff we have going on that's in the news right now with these shootings and ICE and, you know, women getting shot is probably fake. I don't know. Prove me wrong. Let's see it. I don't know. I'm looking into that, by the way. Okay. And by the way, I got to quit saying okay. Number 24, deep state power structures. Obviously, that's, you know, that is a conspiracy theory where people are like, that's not true. It is true. We've got deep state power structures. They go way back. possibly the same bloodlines from the devil, satanic. They're all in it together. That's why nothing ever gets done. Nobody ever gets arrested. These people are literally lying, cheating, stealing, killing, you name it. The pedophile, they never get arrested. They never get in trouble because they're all in it together. So tell me there's not deep state power structures. Tell me that's not true. Come on. Okay, 25. Classified technology decades ahead of public tech. Of course. That, like the flux liner. I keep bringing up the flux liner. It supposedly hovers around and does all this stuff. It draws energy from the atmosphere, from the ether. Well, obviously, we don't have that in our cars today. We don't have anything like that. So, yes, they're going to have all kinds of classified technology they can use before any public person can use it. They don't want the public using it because it might make your life easier. You might actually be able to pay your bills if you didn't have to pay all these other bills, right? If you could get free electricity, you wouldn't have to worry about paying your electric bill. People wouldn't be freezing to death for no electricity if you get free electricity. So, of course, they don't want the public to know any of this stuff. That's a no-brainer. Number 26, global surveillance far beyond what's admitted. Okay. Surely that's true. They are monitoring everything you do and say. You can literally be sitting on your couch with nothing on. This happened to me the other night. You mentioned a wristwatch. Or actually, here's what happened. I was on the couch. I was on a computer, and I went to a website that has wristwatches on it. Lo and behold, a couple of minutes later, one of the advertisements on the TV was of that wristwatch company, the same website. So I Googled it, and it shows up on the TV. If you say it by your phone, if you just happen to be speaking on the couch and you mention some product or some website, the next time you log on to Facebook or anything, those ads will be there exactly what you just said. So you can't tell me they're not listening, surveillancing everything. Now, I have a thermostat for my heat and air conditioner in my house, and I read an article, it's a Nest, that one of the guys that was involved in that was real mad because Nest decided to put microphones in the thermostats. So, and of course it's connected to Wi-Fi, right? And so it's listening to everything you say at your thermostat. Now, lots of people have got Alexas and all the other stuff, and of course they're listening. I don't have any of that. I'm not going to purposely put a listening device where it can listen and report everything I do and say. But who would ever dream that your thermostat is listening? Of course your TV and your phone is. Of course they are. But your thermostat? So yeah, they're global surveillance is there. And they're doing your cell phone too. They've got that figured out. I watched a deal here a while back where they went back on a crime 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years ago, and they could see every cell phone that was in the area at the time the crime was committed. So they're keeping the logs on all this stuff. They can go back and see it. Anyway, they figured out who did it because there's only 2 cell phones around. Everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. So they trace you. Obviously, if a person wanted to go off grid, you couldn't own a cell phone or a TV or a digital thermostat. You'd have to get rid of everything. So, okay, number 27. This is a good one here. Weather manipulation programs. Got to be real careful what you say on that, because if you say they are doing that and you point them out for it, well, this podcast will get banned. It'll get, I mentioned some type of weather modification before in one of them, and it got throttled back and has no views, no nothing. We'll come to find out there's a warning next to it because I mentioned the weather. So let's see. So weather manipulation programs, no, those don't exist, do they? There's nobody manipulating the weather. How could they? Right? That's all we can say about that. Awful lot of strange weather we're having. Understand? Okay. Number 28, false flag space events. Now, we have those, I'm sure. I mean, yeah, we do, because they're like, NASA claims that, 3AI Atlas, whatever it was, some huge space rocks coming through, and then they have some guy from Harvard saying it's not a space rock, it's a spaceship. There you go. There's your false flag space events. Getting people worried that a comet's going to come hit the Earth, or space aliens are going to show up and hit the Earth. In fact, that guy, he was telling people, he's a big Harvard professor. Sell your stuff. Don't take a vacation, or going to take a vacation. Don't do this. Don't do that, because this thing's going to hit, and these aliens are going to show up, and your life's going to change. So again, believe in space, believe in aliens. That's what they want. And then they're going to throw all these false flag events out, same as they do here, only it's in space. Just like old Wernher von Braun predicted on his deathbed. They're gonna claim you've got all this stuff coming from space, but it's all fake. Okay, let's see here. What number are we on now? 29. Hidden historical resets. That's a popular one right now. They claim that we're in Tartaria, the land of Tartaria. They claim that we're in Satan's little season, or we're in the millennial reign, the millennial kingdom. These are all people who don't read their Bibles. If they read their Bibles, they'd know everything they say on that is false. Now, Tartaria, okay, has the date been changed somehow? Most likely. Are we finding ruins of fancy buildings buried? Probably. Probably, definitely. Are all the buildings that you see these days, these big, huge, fancy buildings, did we build those, or were they already here? May have already been here. When I say already been here, they were built by our ancestors, pre-flood or after the flood, when they had superior technology than they do now. Oh, that's right. That debunks evolution. If I say our ancestors go way back, we're actually smarter, that goes against evolution. Evolution says they were dumb, and now we're smart. They used to be cavemen, and now we're, as we are today, driving around our Teslas. See how smart we've gotten? We've got a Tesla now. And those old guys, 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, they were so dumb. They were cavemen. See, that's what they want you to believe. But the truth is, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years ago, they were geniuses. They knew stuff that we can never understand. That's how come they had all these great big huge fancy buildings and stuff that we can't build today. Can't even figure out how to do it. We don't even have the technology to move one of the boulders that they were moving. One. They're too big. They're too pretty. They're too far away. We can't do anything with it. But yet they were dumb. They're cavemen. Just like the Geico commercial. Even a caveman can do it. Everything has to go back to evolution. Well, it's not true. We're here. We're waiting on the rapture or the catching away. It hasn't happened yet. The millennial kingdom has not happened yet. We are not in Satan's little season. Why would you think we were? Satan's little season happens during the millennial kingdom with Jesus Christ reigning on his throne in Jerusalem. Do you see a temple anywhere in Jerusalem? Do you see Jesus Christ reigning with an iron fist from Jerusalem on this earth right now? Of course you don't, because it's not happening. Do you see lions laying with lambs and wolves laying with lambs and children being able to lead these animals around because they only eat straw and they're tame? Of course you don't. If you think that's possible, go over there to Africa and grab a lion by the tail. See what happens. Well, after it devours you, well, I guess you'll always wonder why, won't you? Well, I thought we were in Satan. I thought we were in the millennial kingdom. Really? Why would you think that? Look at everything that has to happen to be in that particular dispensation. We're not there. Okay? Satan's little season happens at the end of the millennial kingdom with Christ still sitting on his throne. Doesn't happen at the beginning, doesn't happen at the middle, it happens at the end. That doesn't mean that it ends and Christ just somehow disappears. No, Christ is still on his throne, because in Satan's little season, Satan drums up an army to go to Jerusalem to fight Jesus when he's sitting on his throne. And all he does is stand up and fire and brimstone come down from heaven and kills them all. And then he sends their stupid butts into hell. Do you see any of that happening? Okay. So, do we have buildings that are buried? Probably, from the flood. Are they all buried like that? Probably not. You know, all these pictures of these buried buildings and all this stuff, they all surfaced right around about the time AI came out. Before then, never saw a single one. And then when you look at these pictures, they don't make any sense. It shows like in the middle of a town and there's a building and they've dug way down and it goes way down. Well, why are you digging down like that? It's fake. So I don't know that any of the pictures they're showing are real to begin with. But most of these people online, they're basing this whole Tartaria and all of this stuff on these AI pictures. Dude, those pictures never existed before then. Where are they coming up with them all of a sudden? They're AI. They're fake. But hey, anything to believe against the Bible. If the Bible tells you this, well, I want to believe something different. So I'll make it up. That's what it boils down to there. All right, what number am I on? Okay, number 30. Suppressed archaeological discoveries. Okay, that is not a conspiracy theory. That's the truth. They suppress these discoveries so you don't understand the past. Because what they've done is they have dug up complete cemeteries full of giants. See, they don't want you to believe giants exist. They want you to think that caveman exists. So they put you out this stupid-looking bent-over skeleton with a fake monkey face on it at your local Cartoon Network museum, and they say that was your grandpa, when it's not. They actually have found giants, cemeteries of them, all kinds of. See, what happens is they come in and get it. They take it to places like the Smithsonian, and it's never seen again. The Smithsonian is like a government institution to hide the truth. If you actually dig something up that doesn't match their fake evolution, then they come get it. And it's gone, and nobody ever hears about it again. Well, why do they want to do that? Well, because in Genesis, it talks all about the giants. Okay? Angels of God, sons of God, came down and mated with women, and their offspring were giants. There were races of giants. Okay, well, that's biblical. Well, if you find proof that there's races of giants, that would prove the Bible. They don't want the Bible proved. They want you to believe you came from a monkey. You were small and you got bigger. You know, you started as nothing and then turned into a fish and then a fish into this. So you started really small and now you're a human. In actuality, there are lots of really big people and we got smaller. We were really smart and now we've got dumber. That's the truth of it, but they don't want you to know that. So are they suppressing discoveries? Of course they are. That's all they're good at. Okay. Let's see here. Well, number 31 is population monitoring via aerospace tech. Obviously, they're monitoring everything. And I say aerospace. Yeah. I talked to a guy. He thinks the same thing I do, like Starlink. I have Starlink. This podcast is going to be uploaded via Starlink because I can't get any other service here that's any good. Does that mean I believe there are satellites in outer space? No, because I don't believe there's outer space. the satellite system I'm using, Starlink, it's aimed up and it's going somewhere and it's aiming back down. We know that. I can prove they had that technology in the 30s and 40s and 50s before any so-called space satellite ever existed. It was called White Alice, Project White Alice. They literally have dishes that are pointed up, supposedly bouncing off the atmosphere, and they come back down. It works the same as a modern-day satellite, except there's no satellite in space. I think that's what they're doing now. They're just bouncing signals off the firmament. That's all they're doing. One of the theories is that if the firmament gets hit by a bomb or something, it actually charges it up, like electrically charges it, and it reflects stuff even better. That's why they send rockets and stuff up to hit the firmament all the time to charge it up. That's probably why Elon Musk does it all the time. And you see the rocket and it just kind of looks like it's going through water or something real weird and explodes way up there. Never gets anywhere. Never goes anywhere. He's probably doing that over and over and over so the firmament in that area will reflect stuff better so he can reflect his beams down to his satellite users, because his satellites work a whole lot better than the old satellites. His dishes, anyway. So, can they monitor you through that? Of course. Are they monitoring you through everything? Of course. But like I was saying on that right there, is one of the guys I interviewed, he thinks that all the modern day airplanes literally have this type of stuff built on them as well to accept a signal and put it back down. So he got to noticing anywhere airplanes don't fly, there are no satellite coverages for Starlink. So, for example, so like over Ukraine or wherever, Russia, wherever it was, where all the airplanes, they stopped them for a while in a no-fly zone. As soon as that happened, there was also, just so happens, no Starlink availability there. Couldn't get a signal. So he thinks these receivers are actually put onto airplanes, big commercial airplanes. So while they're flying them around, they're doing all the work of all these so-called satellites in outer space. And really, it's nothing more than an airplane bouncing the signal back to you. And if that don't work, it's bouncing off the firmament. That's what I believe. So yes, they're monitoring, but that's the aerospace tech, is they're actually bouncing these signals back and forth and telling you it's a satellite in outer space, but it's not. Oh, let's see, that was 31. 32. Long-term secrecy agreements between world governments. Yes. That's happening. What that is back, like I said before, all government agencies are ran and controlled by Lucifer. They're all devils. It's all under his control, his power. They may appear to be fighting and doing this stuff, but in actuality, they're all on the same page. That's why, because I've had somebody say, they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. If NASA's lying about the moon and all this stuff, what about China's space deal? And what about... They're all liars. They're all in it together. They're all ran by the same entity or entities. So they're all going to say the same thing. They're all talking heads for the same Luciferian agenda. So that's why they all agree with each other on certain things. But that's to keep this fake thing going. You know, China can't come out and say, oh, by the way, there is no moon. People would go crazy. You see? Oh, well, we sent our deal up to the moon and there never was any lander. They can't do that. They've got to keep this fake space deal going continuously. They're all in it together. All right. Number 33. We're going to get this over with. It's already been an hour. Number 33. I use this on purpose to get number 33, right? Number 33. The earth is flat. That's a conspiracy theory. The earth is not a globe. That's a conspiracy theory. Well, here we are. I believe that it actually is flat. Okay? Biblical cosmology is what I believe. It's on the first page of Genesis. It pretty much describes it all. I understand 99.9% of your people are never going to get that. 99.9% of your so-called Christians are never going to believe what the Bible says. They're going to believe what Cartoon Network says. That's just what it is. That's just the way it is. And I've had people, they're like, I'm a good Christian, and I'm preaching Jesus Christ, blah, 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 but I'm just not bought into the flat earth deal. Well, it's not my fault you don't believe your Bible, is it? I mean, why don't you just read it and believe it? That's too much to ask for a Bible-believing Christian. So then what they say is like, oh, Kenny, I read it. But see, you just misunderstood it. Really? I misunderstood it. Well, I guess you'll just have to explain to me what the firmament really is then. And water above the firmament? I mean, oh, that's all allegory. That's not real. That's a this, that's a this, that's a that. So anything they don't want to believe, they just say, oh, well, he didn't mean that. That's not what it meant. You've got to spiritualize everything. So what that really meant is, I think it's water because I like water. It's really outer space. No. It says what it is. All you got to do is read it. It's in black and white. So I believe flat earth is real. It's not like what you can Google. If you Google, they'll show you some stupid looking flat mumbo jumbo out floating around in outer space. That's stupid. It's all propaganda. It's not what it is. We're an enclosed system. Got a firmament. If you actually read what the Bible says about it and believe it, everything becomes so much clearer. And you have to understand that your government's a liar. NASA's a liar. Japanese space whatever is a liar. The Chinese one's a liar. They're all liars. They're all under the same commander-in-chief, Satan himself. That's who their boss is. So don't kid yourself that somehow, how could all these people be in on it? I heard that the other day. It was one of the comments. There's a lot of good people work down there. There's a lot of good Christians that work over there. Give me a break. Could you give me a break? I guess you could look at it like this. There's a lot of good Christian people that work for the post office too. Don't they? They just go to work. They deliver the mail. They sort the mail. They do whatever they have to do. That's what they do. They don't know what the high ups are doing. Do they? They have no idea. So all they know is they're sorting the mail. They don't know. They just assume somebody sent. They don't know who sent the mail. Anybody could have sent that mail. That could have been a terrorist sending the mail. They don't know that. All they do is sort the mail. All they do is deliver the mail. They don't know who's sending the mail. They don't even know who's getting the mail. They just sort the mail. So it's the same thing there. They have all these people that sit at desks looking at computers and imagining things and doing things and filling out things and So they really have a billing system. They really claim all that they're doing this. Are they really paying non-government organizations? Well, of course they are. Are they paying JPL Laboratory? Are they paying Lockheed Martin? Well, of course they are. Does that mean any of it's ever reaching outer space? No. But these people are working there on their computer, filling out the bills, doing all this stuff. They're probably designing stuff left and right. So that doesn't mean they're all in on it. I mean, NASA themselves said that the people that are sitting at their little controllers, like in wherever in Houston, said they're unable to tell the difference whether it's running a simulation or the real thing. They don't know the difference. All they see is numbers on a screen and they report what they see. That's it. So no, they're not all in on it. So anyway, I consider that one of the biggest conspiracy theories of our time right now. Is, of course, it's not a conspiracy, it's the truth, and that is the flat earth. Because for some reason, they don't want you to know anything about it. They don't want you to go to Antarctica. They don't want you to know anything about it. They want to keep this facade going that we're on a water ball spinning in outer space at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, 66,600 miles an hour around the sun, and the sun is flying through the Milky Way at 500,000 miles an hour. And of course, the Milky Way is moving too. It's like going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. All this stuff is going on constantly, but you can't feel or see a thing. And all the guys in the past who have tried to prove motion of the earth, they never can get it proved. There's no proof. The only proof we have is NASA and their space station showing the earth spinning underneath of it. That's the proof we have. They're liars. So, be that as it may, believe it or don't believe it. Right? Believe it or don't believe it. But that is the truth as I see it. So, having said all that, it's been quite a bit of time here. I guess I better wrap this thing up. As always, I've got, let's see here. You can check us out on TikTok now. There it is. Check out the Flat Earth Bible on Amazon.com. The Kills Dead Chronicles by Dr. Kenny Williamson on Spotify. The Kills Dead Chronicles by Kenny Williamson on YouTube. Kenny Williamson Official on Rumble. And, hey, I hope this helped you. Hope it was interesting. So I'm going to call this one 33 Conspiracy Theories. I just thought I'd throw that out there. We can talk more about the 33 later. That's a whole other conspiracy theory on its own, the number 33. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you have any questions, comments, leave them. Give me an email, truthseekers2012@gmail.com. You can hit me up on my website. It's flatbro.com, truthseekersministry.org, and I've also got kennywilliamson.com. So anyway, check those out. Thanks for listening. Until we meet again, God bless you.